Welcome to the newest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. Today's video, as you can tell by my background, is not from my standard studio, but coming to you from New Hampshire, following the history-making Cup Series race on Sunday. We have a ton to cover. Let's jump right in, and we'll start with driver media availabilities on Friday. You really never know what you might get out of the general press conferences when the drivers are interviewed on the podium. But Christopher Bell delivered a gem that kept on giving over the weekend. It started when he accidentally slipped up and confirmed the already well-known rumor that Chase Briscoe was going to be his teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 19 car in 2025. Take a listen.
So plenty of times it's been Ty, plenty of times it's been Martin, it's been myself, it's been Denny. I don't think that there really is a leadership role in that aspect. And whenever Chase comes into the car, whenever I don't even know what to say. Whenever we have a new driver into the 19 car, whoever that is, their experience level will dictate how much input they have in the team.
Bell's face almost immediately changed to bright red from the embarrassment, and you couldn't help but feel for him. Unfortunately for him, it was just getting started. Bell's longtime dirt rival and Hendrick Motorsports competitor Kyle Larson heard the comments and hilariously fired off a response on X. Man, totally blindsided by this news. Wishing Chase Elliott the best on his new adventure at Joe Gibbs Racing. Have enjoyed you as a teammate. Good luck, D19. On Saturday, Briscoe responded to Bell's slip-up and Larson's joke.
It changed a lot of things. I think in the silly season, I need to call probably Rick now, just now the nines opened up, and changed a lot of things. That's a domino that nobody really saw coming. So, yeah, I just kind of laughed at it. I thought it was pretty good. Typical Christopher. It was pretty funny.
Are you angry that he's apparently spoiled your news?
I mean, I felt like kind of everybody kind of knows what's going on, right? So, I don't know. I think the official announcement, whenever that is, hopefully we can have something official soon. But, yeah, I wasn't really mad. It was kind of funny, I thought.
Kyle Larson was asked by Fox's Bob Pockris about his post.
Did you have any help with that tweet?
No, I didn't. That's why I was really proud of it. Yeah, I was typing it so fast I couldn't wait to get it out there. So no, I mean I texted Bell and Briscoe. I think before I even sent that tweet that I was fucking dying laughing because it was hilarious. That's the greatest way to announce somebody coming to a team, I think. No matter, I'm sure PR departments have been planning this extravagant, very professional thing, but they got way more clicks for that than once they finally do announce it.
Chase Elliott was also asked about the quote-unquote news of his departure to JGR.
Yeah, I heard about that. It was funny. The boss actually sent me a message about another. I'm not sure who sent it to him, or whatever, but there's all kinds of stuff. He sent me this screenshot that I was leaving and going somewhere else and was going to own a team. So been all kinds of stuff evidently going on that I didn't know I was doing this week. So I guess I'm headed to go drive for JGR now too. So I don't think so. If I am, I didn't know about it, and but I felt bad for Bell. Such an honest mistake. You could tell. It was such a genuine, he just slipped up, So excited for Briscoe, though. I mean, I think that'll be a really good opportunity for him. And hate that Bell was the one to break the news. I'm sure he got in trouble for that, but it's all good. It was going to come out eventually.
Just an FYI, I also had an extensive interview with Chase Elliott, and we talked about a variety of topics, including where he sees NASCAR going in the next 20 years and where he might be in 20 years. It was interesting, to say the least. I'll post that interview later this week. Also on Saturday, with Sunday's race being the 18th race and halfway point of the season, I asked multiple drivers to assess their seasons and how they would grade their teams, and also questioned what they believe to be the biggest highlight for NASCAR as a whole in the first half. I'm going to publish a different video that has all of those answers. But I wanted to share Ty Gibbs' answer to that question just because it was a humorous moment and a reminder that he is still just 21 years old.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't really think about it. I just try to go whenever week. I don't really think about it sitting there and doing it. So, sorry, I'll watch. Mom's calling me. I don't want to answer.
So,
She's hammering me with questions. More questions than you guys are going to ask me.
I know Ty gets a lot of grief for his behavior, and justifiably so, which I talk about on this channel, and I will ironically in a second. But I thought that was a noteworthy moment because it showed a different side. The other big news for the weekend was the weather. Rain was pretty much forecast for both days. Qualifying was canceled, and according to Statsman Trey Ryan, that was the first cancellation of qualifying in 392 days, which ended the longest run of races where qualifying hadn't been missed since 2000. The cars, however, did practice, albeit it was cut short to 7 laps. I was standing by pit road when NASCAR ended the session due to weather and captured this. I looked down pit road and no other car did what the number 54 car did. Not a single one. So it was Gibbs once again showing his age. Moving on to Sunday's race, and with the starting order being set by NASCAR, Chase Elliott started from the pole, pulled out to the lead, and held it for the first 42 laps. Then it became the Toyota show. Christopher Bell took the lead and held it until the end of stage 1. But before he claimed the stage win, there was a bit of irony as he was trying to pass his future teammate in Chase Briscoe, which would have put him a lap down. Bell didn't. More on that story a bit later. In stage 2 and lap 100, it was really interesting to see what was going on between manufacturers, with the Toyotas and Fords moving forward and the Chevys dropping back. Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman were the only two bow ties in the top 10, but both had fallen back multiple spots. Within the next 20 laps, William Byron had dropped 11 spots from his starting position, and Kyle Busch was put down not 1, but 2 laps. Unfortunately for Rowdy, that wasn't the worst news. That came on lap 153 when he made contact with Noah Gragson and went for a spin. Closing out the second stage, Denny Hamlin held off teammate Martin Truex Jr. for a Toyota sweep of the stages. There was more where that came from. Unfortunately for last year's winner, Truex's hopes of repeating took a massive hit during the stage break when his pit crew had an issue with the right rear. Tyler Reddick and Michael McDowell didn't make a stop on pit road at all during the stage break, staying out with the intention of racing to the rain. With everyone looking to the skies and the radar, the aggression levels unsurprisingly ratcheted up, and Ross Chastain made contact with the left rear of Joey Logano, who then got into Chase Elliott, and that was just the first incident. Corey LaJoie went for a spin on lap 200, and then Brad Keselowski got into Martin Truex Jr. on lap 207 as the pair were racing in the middle of the pack. Truex was understandably unhappy.
We're fucking 3 wide, and he's nowhere near the bottom of the racetrack. Like, where is he going? This fucking race is over.
When the race resumed, Reddick pulled out to the lead and said it was raining on lap 213. A lap later, Kyle Busch was involved in his second incident of the day when he was caught up in an incident with Ryan Preece and his old North Wilkesboro friend, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. When NASCAR put out the red flag for weather on lap 219 around 4:30 Eastern Time, it was understandable because of sprinkling around the track. But the question then became, how soon were they going to put on the wet weather tires and resume racing? Remember, it was just barely raining. The hard rains weren't even scheduled for at least another half hour. We could have raced for that entire time. Unsurprisingly, many in the media center were questioning why NASCAR hadn't resumed the race. It was like they were waiting for the rain. Turns out, they were. When the action restarted almost 2.5 hours later, it was a great big unknown for everyone watching in the stands, on TV, on pit road, and even behind the wheel when the cars roared down into turn 1 on the wet surface. I walked down to the same position where I saw the start of the race because I thought I might see something happen. Something did happen, but it wasn't what I thought. I figured there might be an accident. Instead, there were numerous cars dropping down on the apron well below the white line, getting grip and making good time. Christopher Bell's crew chief Adam Stevens said in his post-race press conference how he was surprised to see so many cars going down there and using that area. The other intriguing thing to me was watching the drivers trying to find water to keep their tires cool from the heat building up in the softer rubber. It was an evolution of NASCAR happening right before our eyes. The racing action itself was damn entertaining, with drivers going 3 and 4 wide. And the ones who've raced on other surfaces like dirt adapted and began moving forward. It was fun to watch as the competitors pushed the limits, numerous times stepping over the line, including Ross Chastain, Corey LaJoie, Noah Gragson, Carson Hocevar, and Brad Keselowski. They were part of 14 cautions, which was the most since 2002, and 3 short of the record, 17 in 1994. In the end, Christopher Bell held off multiple challenges on those restarts and made it a weekend sweep of the Xfinity and Cup races. It was the perfect ending for the JGR driver and also helped everyone forget about his gaffe on Friday. Team owner Joe Gibbs said in the post-race conference that Bell was forgiven and he could do whatever he wanted after earning his 3rd win of the season. After the race, which ended in near darkness, Kyle Larson, who finished 4th, talked about the race and had high praise for NASCAR using the wet weather tires, but also offered a suggestion.
So yeah, that was fun. Just wish it would stay wet longer. I feel like going forward, we should spend less time trying to dry the track and more time trying to dry pit road. That way we can have competitive stops, add some strategy to it. I think that would make for a way more interesting race and probably a different winner, a lot of the times, not just your dominant kind of team. So yeah, I feel like if they could just spend more time on pit road, it could be a much better product.
Chase Briscoe, who earned a runner-up finish, said what many fans and members of the media were saying about the initial delay.
What did you think of the experiment with the wet weather tires?
I'm all for it. I think we should do it more. I didn't understand why we didn't go green earlier, truthfully. The visibility's fine, the tire races really, really well. You're kind of sliding all over the place, and it makes it where we can get racing earlier. So I think they've been getting more and more aggressive with it, and they can just continue to go more aggressive until it obviously bites us.
The Stewart-Haas Racing driver also talked about how his good finish was only allowed by Bell not lapping him earlier in the race.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was laughing to myself kind of that if we would have won the race, he would have been kicking himself for not lapping me early in the race when he could have. So yeah, I appreciate. I guess that was some payback on my end. He was trying to be nice for me. So yeah, I appreciate them. It definitely helped our day.
And we've come full circle. And that circle was a mile-long track in New Hampshire that hosted a historic race that included racing in the dry, wet, day, and night. Oh yeah, not sure you noticed, but when the drivers were being interviewed on pit road, it started raining again. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode. Thoughts? I want to know what you thought of the whole Christopher Bell letting the cat out of the bag about his future teammate in Chase Briscoe. And what do you actually think of the news? Is it good for Briscoe and JGR? And what did you think of Ty Gibbs first, that moment when his mom was texting him, and then what he did at the conclusion of practice? And finally, what did you think of the race? Did you think NASCAR was going to even restart it at all? And what did you think of the racing when we resumed under wet conditions? Did you enjoy it? Lastly, I'll be resuming my vacation in Maine for the next week, but we'll post those videos as mentioned. Remember, if you want to read my written work, go check it out at heavy.com. Also go to beatenandbangin.com if you want to sign up for my weekly newsletter, and you'll receive an email each Friday recapping the top stories from the week, including reviews of the various NASCAR related podcasts. Also, make sure to check out my Beating and Banging podcast on the Blue Wire Network. Thanks as always for supporting the channel, and have a great rest of your day.